Welcome back, Freelancers. I'm Defeated Rescue, and we're continuing with the gear showcasing series. So today we've got the Storm back in the social hub area, just hanging out in the launch bay, and just meeting and greeting people, checking some suits out, seeing what everyone's got. Got a couple interceptors, a Colossus, and I think there's a Storm right below me. Yep. So, oh. All right. So we'll go out and kind of talk about what we're going over. So free play, go ahead and start for Tarsus. GM1, no consumables, and here we go.
All systems check out. Beginning to review incoming comm traffic for unusual patterns.
Sounds good.
Alright, back in Bastion. So we'll just do a little flyby.
Okay.
Check things out. Alright, everything's looking pretty good. So we'll land over here and kind of go over the gear we're going to be showcasing today for the Storm. So we're going on Blast Seals to continue from, we did Venomous Blaze last week. Now we're going to be going over Pondering Infinity this week. So it's an upgraded Lightning Strike. Combo effect is Chain, which is something the Storm does very well, is chaining the effects to other nearby enemies. And then the perk for this gear piece is Raptor's Amplitude. While hovering, electric damage is increased by 165%. And I've been told it's not actually just damage for this gear, electric damage. It's also for electric effect and weapons that cause electric damage. So all electric damage is counted in this. So on mine, I've only got the one because I don't really use it a whole lot. But I've got 200 gear charges and then a little bit of extra damage, nothing too special. So you guys should be seeing pretty much the same thing with whatever you get, unless you get one with a lot more damage. So it does pretty good damage, 8,500. The recharge is 10, so that's kind of why I've got the 200 gear charges on it, is because it's pretty bad when you run out of these, and you really got to hang out and wait for it to recharge. I think it's actually worse than Steam Vent, to be completely honest. I'll take a look at that one real quick, but the good thing about it is it's got a radius of 5, which is pretty standard, but you don't have to be exact with it when you hit them because it is a detonator, so it could detonate a group pretty well. And then because the Storm has the chaining effect, it could reach out even further. So it's pretty interesting gear piece, but yeah, Steam Vent is actually having a recharge of 5, so, but it's in a whole different slot. So all right, let's head over to the Necropolis and go test down GM1.
Strider distress call. I can't make out the details. We should investigate.
All right. So we'll swing over here, see if we got our little brute buddies hanging out, and they are. So we'll go ahead and hit them just on the ground. Oh, I missed. Wow. So you can hold it and get it like that? Okay, so it did about half damage in GM1. Not bad. So yeah. So pretty powerful GM1. Not bad. It's GM1 though, so it's kind of what we've come to expect, is that the enemies in GM1 are pretty easy with the good gear, level 80 legendary gear. Oh man, no nothing to harvest. All right, let's head in, and then we'll do the usual. We kind of hang out at the top, let them load in, and kind of discuss what the plan is. And another piece of gear that I like to pair this with to kind of enhance it and make it really really good, like to do really good combos. Okay, got some salvage we can do real quick. Grab some storm parts. Sweet. Oh, got a weapon part instead. That's not so bad. Alright, we'll give them a second to load in, and while they're doing that, we'll talk about it. So, the idea is we want it, because we're a storm, we're going to try and hover a lot, which kind of, as you can see, we get that shield around us, even though we have a shield at all times. It actually increases our resistance. And you can see on the left-hand side that I have Raptor's amplitude right now, which I'm getting from Pondering Infinity. So I'm also getting a couple other things, but the Raptor's amplitude is the one we're kind of focusing on. So I've also got, I'll show you in my build. So we're kind of pairing it with Chaotic Rhine, which has a 0 recharge. But basically we're going to try and freeze the enemies into place and then hit them with that, because it is a primer. We'll prime them with ice, and then we will detonate them with Pondering Infinity, which should be a good little combo going back and forth. And then actually, just so you're aware, every time I freeze one of the enemies, it actually gives, for me it's V for the binding. For you it can be left bumper or L1 depending on what platform you're on, or even Q or whatever you're using for your setup. But it will give my Pondering Infinity 125% more damage for 20 seconds. So I'm getting an additional 125 on top of the 165 that I'm already getting from electric alone. So it should do pretty good damage. Even though I don't have a lot of damage rolled on mine, it should still do quite a bit. So we'll go in here and we'll just use Pondering Infinity and kind of showcase that real quick. So yeah, one shot, that's good. As you can see, I got a pretty good recharge build, so it comes back pretty quick. I usually drop a lot of recharge into my storm, just because the storm typically is considered the glass cannon of the Javs, so it is very powerful. So I like being able to use the abilities a lot more often. Alright, before we fight the firestorm, we'll clear out some more of these grunts. And you see how I got like a couple there, even though it was kind of in the middle of them. So most of the storm's abilities or gear pieces kind of do that. They usually have a radius for them, so that really helps out quite a bit. And I'm out, so I'm waiting for it to recharge. There we go. And as you can see, it got a huge group right there, and it took down one of the gunner's shields while it actually put them down. So a lot of good damage in GM1. Okay, there's a ranger. Okay, so we'll go ahead and try to go up against the elemental. Instant down. That's really good. I'm gonna land real quick. So that's kind of interesting because I'm on the ground right now. It took 2 shots for that enemy type. Still one shooting these guys, but kind of wish he wouldn't have ran in, but whatever. Because I wanted to test while hovering if it still does quite a bit of damage. So yeah, there you go. So while hovering, it took almost twice as much damage, or dished out twice as much damage to the armored outlaw over when I'm just on the ground, where it only took about half. So that's pretty interesting. Alright, took out them, and now we're waiting for the ranger to do their... So if you notice, the ranger no longer has a shield, so it took their shield and it did about 1/3 of damage towards their overall armor. Yeah, really good damage. And I haven't even comboed it yet. So it struggles with the armored enemies a little bit in GM1, however, it still does a really good job. So that's actually a little surprising to me. Like I said, I don't use it too much. I think there's a better option, but that's actually pretty good. That's pretty impressive. But there you go, we are in GM1, so no surprises as usual. We knew Legendary Javelin with level 80 gear is gonna knock him down pretty easy. Alright, we'll come back up here, and then we'll go ahead and load back in GM3, back at the fort. But just to give you an idea what the plan will be is when I come in here, I'll hit them, kind of let you know like against GM3 how powerful it is, and then after I've kind of showcased that for the grunts, we'll just start wiping them out and kind of comboing it. Just give you a good idea of what it'll look like when you're doing combos. I don't think I picked any gear up this time, so we shouldn't have anything, so it should be pretty quick. Okay, so I did. Actually, I picked up exactly kind of what we're showcasing, but the epic version of it, so that's cool. We'll go ahead and get rid of it. And I try not to pick up too much gear in between GM1 and GM3 showcases because I don't want to spend a lot of time in here messing around with stuff. Although the quick... let me get in GM3 real quick. No consumables, GM3, free play. The quick dismantle option that they added in, I think around 1.5, maybe 1.6 is actually really, really nice. So I can actually, if I know for a fact I'm not picking up any good gear, I can just junk it all at once or scrap it. Technically salvage is what I'm doing. Because you can use all of the, once you dismantle all of the gear, you get parts for weapons, javs, and embers, which you can use towards guardian tokens.
Ready to start? Good. I'll look through all traffic for anything that needs our attention.
Keep me updated.
So, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really sure yet how it's going to perform, because I don't use it too often. I kind of came into this video thinking, okay, I'm going to have a lot of people getting angry with me because I'm probably going to, at the end of this, give it a thumbs down and not recommend this, but right now it's not looking too bad. We'll see when we get in there what it looks like and how it feels, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised so far. So we'll get over there, check it out, and see how well it works. Hopefully the brutes are there so we can kind of showcase them as well. I always like kind of showing it on the brutes because it gives you kind of an idea before we go to the stronghold. Or sorry, not the stronghold, the dungeon. Whether or not I'm going to be in there for a minute or if I'm going to go in there and just decimate everything. Alright, so we'll start on the ground. Ooh. That's less than what I thought. Okay. A bit better when you're hovering, but yeah, I'm gonna have to use a lot to get these guys down. Wow. Let's get him down to about half. So that's approximately half, and it took me, I think, about 6, 7, 8 of them to hit. So we'll wait for me to get my shield back, so I'm not skewing the numbers because I do have some gear on that could potentially skew my damage numbers. Alright, shield's back. Go ahead and freeze them, and so that was pretty good. Nice. So we'll freeze this guy. We really haven't done anything to him. Okay, there. So, yeah. Numbers were around, I think, approximately like 10,000 when we were on the ground. 15. And then when we're in the air, we're getting about 7,000 jump. And then when you freeze them, we're comboing with 28 and then 35. So, pretty good. Not bad. Nice. And yep, there he goes. Alright, so now we can kind of get a general idea before we go into this dungeon. It's probably going to be a little bit harder. Something I've kind of stated in previous videos is that lightning damage does a really good, is really good against shields. So I think taking down shields is still going to do really well. However, for the armored enemies, so the yellow barred enemies, I think I'm going to have a lot of issues with those guys. But we'll see. don't see any Teslas right now. That's unusual. Pleasant surprise on my end. Alright, cool. We got a storm part. Alright, so we'll let them kind of just slowly matriculate in. We got one down there already. So here we go. Alright, we'll go in and kind of just test the lightning on its own. So hovering about 34th. Not bad. On the ground, 20, so I'm getting about a 4,000 to 5,000 increase just against the Outlaws. And the reason Outlaws are really good for testing this gear is because they don't actually have resistance to anything. They're pretty neutral when it comes to effects. So as long as you can fit the enemies in this like circular dome that you get from your gear, kind of like the trajectory of the projectile, it will pretty much hit everyone inside of it. Alright, we'll go ahead and start just clearing the dungeon out. And I'll show you how. So you see how like they're all frozen right now? That's because of the chain effect, because I primed them with ice. Now they're not actually primed, they're just under the effects. Oh, I missed that. Okay, gonna dodge out for some cover, get my shield back. I don't really need it because I've got like the invincible storm build, but... So yeah, shield and damage. So still does really good against shields. Yeah, shields go down instantly. And yeah, I got everyone in there. So the only thing is to consider is if we're going up against an enemy type that is resistant to electric, this is gonna do a lot less against them. So that's kind of like the trade-off for elemental gear pieces for your storm. So I believe that they are electric. Yeah, that's electric, so we'll see what we can do against him. I think I just missed. No, I am hitting, well, yeah. I'm hitting them and it is doing nothing to them. So I'm gonna back out a little bit. Alright, so what the plan is right now is to kind of thin these guys out, and then we'll try to take on, I would prefer to take on the firestorm instead of the lightning storm, because like you saw, we can't even take their shield down with this. And if I can't get their shield down, I'm not going to be able to prime them, which, oh, that is, oh man. Yeah, they're kind of cornering me here. That's alright. This is a pretty good build, so I shouldn't have too much trouble dealing with them. And I did hit the storm there, unfortunately, the one I wanted to go one-on-one with, so we'll back out a little bit. Okay, he's frozen, but I think we got a couple more. Even being frozen and primed, it still took it pretty good. And just doing it without them being primed is barely taking away an armored enemy, so a lot more resistant to Pondering Infinity. I keep saying Infinity, like infamous. Yeah, the armored ones are taking it pretty good, which tells me that I'm gonna have to get my shield back real quick. Okay, I'll go back here. Oh no. Okay, I'll respawn really quickly though. So we'll come back in, we'll finish clearing them out, and kind of, yeah, so you're kind of seeing like, it's good to an extent. Armored enemies resist it pretty well. Anyone that has an electric resistance, so specifically a lightning storm, it's going to be pretty useless against. It doesn't matter how much damage it's dealing out, it's just not going to hurt them. So my plan was to retreat back here, snap into my ult, and then get on my health back and shield back, But they were just pounding into me too hard, so I couldn't keep up with it. Shield down already. They're just all over the place. Which is good, because this will kind of give you an idea if you ever go into dungeons how this can get pretty stressful pretty fast. And that's where I have my problems. These storms are just right over me, just hammering it down. So we'll see if we can get a chain effect on them real quick. Wait a minute, was... Oh, he went up. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get him down real quick. See if we can get him before their shield comes back. We could not. Nope, that's not going to work. Alright, grab some health real quick, get our shield back, and free some more enemies. So that is the good thing, is it will definitely take shields down against enemies that are not resistant to lightning. Not doing bad, just dealing with a lot, so it's looking pretty rough. And I think the problem is they're spawning in as I'm freezing them, which you got to be careful with, because then you won't be able to do damage to those enemies till they unfreeze. So that's something you need to consider when you're using anything that primes with ice. I'm afraid I'm chaining that storms, so they might be pretty done in by the time we get to them. Which isn't a bad thing, because it kind of showcases how the storm's chaining ability works. Okay. A few more and then we can just move on to jab, re-jab. Another guy with shield. Nice. Man, they just keep coming. Nice. Okay. I think we only got a couple more left. Oh. I was trying to evade the ult, but I was in the middle of the animation. Okay. Oh, another one. Okay, we'll get our shield back, see if we can pick up some armor over here, because I know we dropped a lot of enemies over here. These guys do not quit. Okay. So let's see if we can find that storm. I think it's even enough now that I'm not going to take a huge beating. So there's the ranger. I wonder where the storm is. I hope it didn't inadvertently... Oh, there they are. Okay, so... shield down immediately. Not a lot on the damage against their health, but that's alright. That's... Go ahead and take the shield again. And we'll prime them. And they're fire elementals, so they freeze just fine. Okay. A little bit hard to hit flying enemies, but that's alright. Nice. So it takes them down pretty well with a good primer. Alright. Okay, so it took a good amount of their shield. which we kind of discussed. It's pretty good against shields. As far as health, yeah, it's kind of almost like every other piece of gear we've had here that's not causing an explosion on its own. Is it doesn't do too well against armored enemies. So we'll go ahead and freeze them before their shield comes back. I don't think we got them in time. So they're very resistant to priming. Let me see if I can get them fire primed. It's not looking like it. Okay, it looks like they are primed right now. Okay, so we procced our token of the master, which means we did give them ice effect. Doing about 20,000 damage against them, not bad. This is mostly, though, a good portion of this is due to what I have gear-wise. 37 on the ground. Alright, back to 29. 10. Wow. I just took a face full of mallet. Or mace. So what we're kind of seeing here is it's pretty good against a group, especially of little grunts that aren't very resistant to elements. But against an armored enemy, it's pretty good, or it's not as good. Hey, he's not missing. Oh. Alright, I gotta take the shield down. Token of the master, so there we go. That was a combo. They're so dark I can barely see them. And that should be it. Nice. Pretty good combos though, when comboed with other things, so not bad. Oh, server's gonna shut down in about an hour. Better hurry it up. Okay, so let's do some discussion on it. As far as checking boxes, so is it efficient? Well, if you get good rolls, it is. But because I've put a lot of recharge into my build, as you can see, I'm getting charges back almost instantly. But if you don't get one with really good charges, it's not going to be efficient. In general, as you can see when I run my charges out, I got nothing now. Unless I have another detonator and I got to build based off something else. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So I would say it's not efficient, especially because there's something else that's a bit better than this. There's actually a few things that are a bit better that are actually in this gear slot. And then is it viable? It's definitely viable. The only thing is it's not very good in anything below or above GM1. So in GM2 you're going to see this a little bit too, is that when you're really hitting the enemies, unless you're priming them, it's really not going to do a whole lot. Even if you, and here's the thing with the Raptor's amplitude, is that if you have this on, this only affects electric. So it's not affecting all gear. And the problem is if you want to get the full usage out of this, your build has to be completely electric, which means if you ever run into an enemy that's also like electric resistant, this whole build is just a wash. And you will run into these enemies somewhat often, just generalized storms that are either fire, ice, or electric empowered, I guess is what you could say about them. So as far as being viable, it is, but it's a very niche viability. And then is it fun? Well, yeah, it definitely can be fun. You know, when we were down there taking on the groups, that was pretty fun. And I like the area of effect with it, where you can hit a large group, and then because it's a storm inherently, it's going to chain to all the ones in the area. So especially if you're using it with Chaotic Rhine, you can freeze a group and just kind of like run away from them and let somebody else deal with them that's in your team, or you can just keep picking away at them, or even use something else to pretty much prime them again, and then just do the same thing. So you can just kind of go back and forth with it if you have a really good hybrid build that uses a bunch of different primers. However, that's kind of the thing though, is that yeah, it's fun and it's potentially viable. It's not really efficient, so that's kind of I think that for me that's going to be a thumbs down. If you see this come in the store, I wouldn't really try and like buy it to get a great roll. You might get lucky with the first one, but I wouldn't dump too much coin into it. I'm kind of still at the standpoint that I was at the beginning of the video. It did impress me a lot more though. I will admit that. Like I haven't used it in a while because I'm like, there's a better option, and it's really not that viable. But it was actually pretty good. It's definitely viable. It's just a very niche build, so you have to have a very specific build with it, and that's kind of with a lot of Storm's gear. You'll kind of come to terms with is that you can't. I've tried a lot to make like fire builds and lightning builds, and I really can't do that. You have to mix and match, unfortunately, because that's just the way that the elementals work in this game. Although I do think it's fun. So if you get one in like a Lego drop or just from farming, I definitely recommend holding on to it. If you get one with good charges, that's the only one I would realistically hold on to, kind of like the one I've got, because I've kind of gotten rid of all the other ones I had, because I actually had to grind for a long time to get this one. It was funny too, because I'd always, before the Cataclysm, I was trying to get this specific kind of these kind of rolls, ones with a lot of charges, because it already did a lot of damage while hovering, which you're pretty much doing with a storm almost all the time anyways. It's very rare that as a storm you're going to be grounded unless you've got like a melee build, and even then you're probably going to be blinking back into a hover state. So damage for me didn't seem like it's too big of a deal for having those kind of rolls. That's why I really like the gear charge. So if I don't get one with more gear charges than this, I just kind of get rid of it. The 21 damage is just kind of nice, but that's global damage. And the weapon damage, I don't really use weapons too much other than Prime is the Storm. So, and I never use snipers. I tried to make a sniper build with Storm. It's. I'm sure there's one out there that's a really good build, but I just couldn't get to work with my gear and my rolls that I have. But yeah, if you get one, hold on to it just to play around with, especially when you're grinding through GM1. It's definitely very good there. But as far as GM3 goes, it's not going to get you a whole lot of mileage, even with pretty good rolls. So the other one I'm talking about that I kind of think would be better is Eternal Squall, which is Cataclysm gear piece that came out with the Echoes of Reality event. It's better in a lot of ways, but we'll go over that in a different video. But to be clear, for this gear slot, so for the Blast Seal gear slot, there are only 2 detonators in this whole out of all the gear here. So the rest of these are all primers. So technically Venomous Blaze is not, which we went over, but it acts as one because its perk allows it to do that. But everything else here is a primer, except for Eternal Squall and Pondering Infamy. So if you're trying to do a build and you're tired of using like Steam Vent and you haven't gotten a good Eternal Squall yet, definitely give this one a shot. But it's not gonna be very useful to you in GM1 unless you're running across a lot of enemies that don't have armor or are not resistant to just effects in general. So, but yeah, that's kind of wrapping it up. That's kind of what my thoughts are. Again, if you guys have any desires for specific gear that you want me to showcase on a Javelin, go ahead and just comment and let me know. I'm always open for discussion too, so if you think that you've seen something that I'm not showcasing, let me know, and we can kind of discuss it, and I can even go back and do another video, like a part 2 of these, if that's really needed. But I'm going to end it there. I'm Defeated Rescue, and I'll see you guys out in Bastion.